And I rise today because I just feel moved by the moment to really talk about truth in the moments that I have. I started this morning by citing the Declaration of Independence that said we all are created equal, a portion thereof, with the unalienable rights of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Isn't it important that today in Pride Month, as I recognize my constituents in Houston, all of them, and the caucus that has been a steadfast advocate in Houston for the rights of all people in the LGBTQI community. And so it is important to be counted, to be recognized. And I want to emphasize again the distortion of how punitive this will be. It's voluntary. I know my constituents. Some of them don't even fill out the census because they're free. They know they don't have to do it. Some of them don't answer questions on the census. And so for anyone to suggest that this will be punitive and that people be fearful and they wouldn't think not to do it, it is voluntary. And I can assure you that this community, the LGBTQI plus Americans, remain vulnerable to discrimination on a daily basis. Only 21 states have laws that explicitly prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation in employment, housing, public accommodations, and only 20 states have such protections for gender identity. H.R. 4176, the LGBTQI plus Data Inclusion Act, is to include, affirm, and to be counted. Do you realize that in most states a same-sex couple can get married on Saturday, then be legally denied service at a restaurant on Sunday, then be fired from their job on Monday and evicted from their apartment on Tuesday? We thought we'd be past that after years of working and fighting. But it is important to note that this bill will provide us with the appropriate information.
Yield the gentlelady as much time as she may need.
I thank you so very much. It is high time that we provide equal protection for all members of the LGBTQI community in accordance with the 14th Amendment. And H.R. 4176, again, not punitive, will take us one more step forward in the decades-long journey towards equality by creating a toolkit through which our LGBTQI community members can be represented and the demographic data can be taken. Let me just simply say that the numbers speak truth. I said I wanted to discuss a moment of truth. When we have the data, we can help with housing, health care, schooling, special needs that this community would have. Representation as it relates to them being counted in federal funding that may be necessary to aid in their circumstances. I'm reminded of tragedies that have happened before. Does anyone remember a young man being paled against a fence just because he was the LGBTQI plus community? I met with Matthew Shepard's mother. And so I remember these atrocities. And I see in a state like mine where transgender families are threatened about trying to find resources for their children. We love our children. We love our families. And the only thing I can see in this legislation is the importance of affirming and counting and treating with dignity and recognizing that this wonderful community, the LGBTQI plus community, they too are America. We too are America. This is a moment of truth and is simply collecting data, punishing no one, but uplifting all Americans. I yield back to the gentlelady and ask my colleagues to support H.R. 4176. I yield back.
If the gentlelady yields back, the gentlelady reserves, and if the gentleman from Kentucky has no further speakers, I'm prepared to close.
I have no further speakers, and I'm prepared to close.